And welcome back to the Everyday Board Game Podcast. We are now in the semifinals of our top 8 debate for the best dexterity game. We had one upset in the last round where Ice Cool took the 6th seed, beat out...
It's on steroids, it cheated.
No, it earned its right to be there, but no, I don't know how well it will feel.
Just because of painted cardboard, that's it.
Well, we'll see how it does against, handcrafted wood. And not saying... Actually, I realize that, saying it was up against Tumbling Dice. It's hard for me to say, but I do honestly feel, with as good of a production Tumbling Dice has, Crokinole is a new level. That is almost like furniture.
No, I don't disagree with
antiquity.
You. I'm rooting for Crokinole in this one because, you know what, F Ice Cool.
Yeah, I know, you really just don't like Ice Cool. And... No,
I actually love Ice Cool, but it took out my game.
Hey, if Carcassonne went away during our Rio Grande debate, oh no, actually it was the Kickstarter one, the only one that I really enjoyed. I was like, I know it's going out the first round, so I don't care at this point.
Well, because it lost 4 of the 5 categories.
Yeah, that doesn't make me like it less, though. But, alright, let's go into it. You're obviously such a passionate Crokinole fan. I like Ice Cool a lot. Let's go for
it. Yeah, I am a Crokinole fan, even though I suck at it.
Well...
I'm not very good at it.
I wasn't going to say that, but...
Mind you, I only played a handful of times. But for me, I think Crokinole should go on. There's a reason why it's number 1 in Dexterity. There's a reason why it's leading our fan vote. Mm-hmm. It is that good of a game. It is that skillful of a game. To the fact that I've seen Crokinole tournaments on ESPN.
But I've also seen ESPN air people slapping each other in the face, too.
On Facebook, like everybody does that one.
They aired it on ESPN. Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah, so
I was like, wow, it got to this point.
Well, there's more skill in slapping someone in the face than Ice Cool.
Whoa! that's shameful, sir. You need to take that back now, because you and I both know how untrue that is. That's upsetting. Anybody, like the poor designer of Ice Cool, he's probably crying now because you said that. That's awful. You should be ashamed. There's a special place in the underworld for people who think slapping is more skill.
I'm going there anywhere, so...
Now, receiving the slap without passing out, now that's a level of skill we need to talk about.
Just because you've been on many sides of the slapping and never the slappy, so...
No, I've only ever been on the slappy side. I've never raised my hand for anything, but I've taken a hit or two.
That's
but you're talking to the guy who talked his way out of getting mugged, so it is what it is.
All right, so
Crokinole.
Back to our debate here. Crokinole. For me, the only category I will give Ice Cool is ease of play, because it is just a simpler game to get into. Crokinole has a lot more skill to it. The replay value, again, there's tournaments for this for a reason. That's how good this game is. And the meaningful choices, much more meaningful choices in Crokinole because, again, it's a lot more skillful into it. If you make an arbitrary, a bad move in Crokinole, it's going to hurt you a lot more if you make a bad move in Ice Cool, and that's because you have those walls. Those walls can protect you. So if you make a bad move and get stuck in a corner that will help you away from the hall monitor, it's not going to be as bad as making a bad shot in Crokinole.
Sure.
Game immersion, theme matching mechanisms. I prefer it in Crokinole. It's a flicking game that you're trying to get to the center. It's basically you're, in a sense, playing darts, but you're trying to get to the center to get the most points. Because if you get in there, that little circle in the middle, it's what, 20 points? It's automatically, you take your piece, you put it in the board thing over here. It's automatic 20 points. You cannot lose those points.
Yeah.
Game immersions. Interaction, there's a lot more interaction in Crokinole, especially if you're playing teams, because you're trying to talk to your teammate without giving too much information about what you're trying to do against the other team, and how you're trying to set it up. And I do like the fact that the one rule in there is after the first shot, that if there's nothing on the board, then yeah, you can shoot fine. But if there's things on the board, you have to at least hit your opponent's piece for it to count for you, no matter where it
kind of
lays.
like billiards, and you know.
Yeah. So I do enjoy that aspect of it. To me, and art and production, as pretty as Ice Cool is, and I'm not going to deny that. Crokinole is just, as you were saying, is a whole nother level. These are handcrafted pieces. That's why it's so expensive. That's why you see people paying $200, $300, $400 for a board, because in the discs and all that, because it is handcrafted. They go to a woodmaker to do this, and so for me, it's 4-1, and that's my personal belief of it. And if you want to do a breakdown, we can.
Yeah. We'll go over them because I think you're downplaying some of them to a degree, although I do agree with a lot of what you're saying. Ease of play, definitely. I mean, the simplicity, it goes to Crokinole. And that's not to say Ice Cool isn't easy, because it really is, but we're comparing very, very simple games, and that just hands down it's
surprisingly, you know,
art
one
in
of
production.
the best Ice Cool players I've ever played against? Bryce's son, his 5-year-old son. He could do trick shots like there's no tomorrow.
Right. Oh my goodness. And see, and that's one of the things that I do wanna point out as far as the mechanisms go. They're both flicking games, but Crokinole is just you flick and it goes in the direction you flick. I mean,
also there's the rule that we haven't mentioned. It's a 1 cheek rule. So if you're trying to aim your shot, you can only get off 1 cheek.
Right. But then one thing that you also have to keep in mind is not only is it allowed, it's encouraged, but the way that you can flick, the amount of spin heavily changes how your piece can move. It's like in pool, you know, you can have the spin shots that are able to bank off of different things and curve, you know, and do these interesting things. And unlike in Crokinole, you're not allowed to leave the board. Not that the pieces are designed to do so anyway, but in Ice Cool, you absolutely can. If you hit the top of it, it does like a flip and it lands over a wall, and that's allowed. You know, so a wall isn't as permanently detrimental. It is bigger and it's harder to combat, but then also you have the same thing with the pegs, you know, and since the fact that you can't jump over, I think that's worth noting. Now, the disadvantage to Ice Cool versus Crokinole is that when you boil it down, I feel like the mechanisms are stronger, but the way you score and drawing a card that's worth somewhere between 1 to 3 points, that's a big variable that kind of throws meaningful choices out of the realm. Now, if they didn't do that, I feel like, as far as meaningful choices, it would have gone to Ice Cool, because it has everything that Crokinole has, and then some, but now the fact that you have the impacting long-term or arbitrary choices, you're doing the same thing, except you definitely know how many points you're going to get in Crokinole, where you might not. Excuse me, in Ice Cool. So, replay value though, the argument that you had with tumbling dice, I don't think is fair to make for Crokinole, because that's limited to 2 to 4 players. That's it. Yeah. Whereas Ice Cool, you know, immediately expandable. Yeah, you go
up to 8. So it has the expandability. I'm not going to give it that.
And then as far as immersion, memorable moments, player interaction, the player interaction is it's designed in Ice Cool, but it's also designed into Crokinole, because you have to flick
and that's just that it's designed in Ice Cool. It's important in Ice Cool, but you're playing over a series of rounds, so this way everybody has a chance to be the hall monitor. And for player interaction in Crokinole, you have to do this thing for you to get points. You have to hit another piece.
Yeah, that's the only way you can do it.
Even if it means you're bouncing one of your pieces that are already on the board into another player's piece.
Yeah. However, theme matching mechanisms, there's one thing that I also haven't brought up about Ice Cool that I think is also worth pointing out. The way that those pieces slide on the board, it feels very much like you're slipping around on ice, which is the idea. And it's very thematic on that fact that you are in an ice-based ground and you have these pieces sliding around fairly uncontrollably and wobbly and being kind of
but it's not thematic.
Well,
you know why?
I feel
because
it does match.
Penguins, and penguins slide on their belly, not on their feet.
Oh, you can slide on your belly if you flick it well enough. It's fine.
No, you spin and then it goes top heavy. You've already shown that it always stays balanced like this.
Right. I mean, I do feel that Crokinole will be going on, but I feel it's a lot closer than that. So, ease of play, Crokinole. Art and production, Crokinole. Meaningful choice, Crokinole. Replay and immersion is Ice Cool.
I give game immersion to Crokinole. Just because you can have the theme matching mechanisms, and we could wash the interacting player, I guess you could say. I still think it's more important in Crokinole because it's a specific rule that you have to do.
Yeah.
In memorable moments, again, tournaments, winning, playing against friends, making a homemade tournament.
Yeah, but making the fancy trick shots too. Making the fancy trick shots in Ice Cool is also like, whoa! I made it over 2 walls. Yeah. Yeah.
Case in point, I'll bring up something that will win Crokinole for me. Shut up and sit down.
Either way, we're unneededly debating this. We both agree that Crokinole's going to move on.
Yeah.
But I do feel Ice Cool puts up a really good fight, better than you think.
No, it doesn't. Honestly, to be truthfully honest, and I'm taking my bias out of this. I think when it comes down to the fact that if you boil down both of those games, they have pretty much the same mechanisms, other than say like the card drawing in Ice Cool. Crokinole, hands down, is the better game. In your opinion, which do you think is the better game? Just boil down to the game.
The better game, Crokinole. Yes.
Yeah, and that's what we're debating here. Which is the better game?
Yeah, I feel like Crokinole is absolutely a pure game of skill. Ice Cool has some random chance.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't
Alright, so moving on to number 2 versus number 4. I'll let you go ahead and decide which one you want to argue, because I actually argued both of these last time.
Right, and I argued neither of them, but I do really like both of them.
So do I.
Oh shoot, I don't know, to be honest with you. Let's flip a coin. Because I could take either one.
Yeah, same here. And to me, this is one of the toughest brackets we've had.
I don't know what that was going to tell me. Alright, call it in the air. Heads or tails?
Tails.
And it landed on the floor. Alright. It landed on tails. So you get to choose.
But that's the whole point. I didn't want to choose.
Alright. Why don't you take Rhino Hero?
Sounds good.
Alright. I'll start with Fuse, because it's the higher seed. Fuse, the time bomb, the ultimate game of stress against the time. It has dexterity elements, plus it has meaningful choices as to which dice go to which players. You are always under the time crunch, and the production on it, you really do feel like you are defusing a bomb. I have never played any other game, any other board game with a closer feel of defusing a bomb than this. It is super immersive. That entire 10 minutes, you are stressed beyond all belief. I remember I saw people play this at the comic shop. I lent them my copy. They played it 4 times in a row until they finally beat it, and then they're like, we're done. We are so done. This is a whole new level of stress. That was awesome. So I think going between that versus a kid's game where, you know, the intensity of Fuse, I think we'll stop to do the breakdown, but the intensity of Fuse is almost unparalleled to I'm nervous putting this wall up, but I'm the only one experiencing the nerves.
Here's the only problem with Fuse, and this is the big point to it, and we talked about it in the first before we started the debate. We're arguing the best dexterity games. Dexterity is a part of Fuse, but it's not the main thing of Fuse. Dexterity is all Rhino Hero. Rhino Hero is the dexterity game. You're stacking things, you're moving things, you're trying not to knock over the tower. Fuse, you are stacking things, but a lot of the cards are also, hey, this number cannot match this number cannot match this number. So you have to have 3 different numbers in here. This number needs to be on this color, so you need a 2 green, you need a 4 yellow. There's a small part, other than the speed play, which is dexterity, and I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Other than the speed play, there's very little other dexterity in it, which is the stacking. Whereas Rhino Hero is straight up dexterity. That's the main mechanism. That's the main way you can win, other than playing cards.
Yeah. Now, if they made Speed Rhino Hero, now that...
Oh, God, that would stress me. Heck, gal. I already get stressed playing Rhino Hero just because, especially when it gets to like 4 or 5 levels, and you're just like,
No.
okay, I touched it.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about ease of play.
Rhino Hero.
Rhino Hero. Yeah. Simplicity. People are familiar with stacking. AP prone. Solving that puzzle. Yeah. Although likelihood to getting it to the table, I think that defusing the bomb is pretty close. Either way,
Actually,
it still goes.
yeah, Rhino Hero would actually get to the table more than Fuse,
For
from
you?
what I've seen.
In your group?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
just in general, just because who doesn't like superhero games? And again, because you can also play with kids, and kids really enjoy it.
That's true.
Fuse is a bit too stressful for kids.
Yeah. Now, art and production. I feel they're close, but it goes to Fuse because of the app.
And here, well, there's the app, but also because the dice are really nice.
Yeah.
Now, that's the only way I get it, because the other, if you go to Rhino Hero, it's got a deck of cards, it's got like those bendy cards for the buildings, and it's got
the Rhino meeple.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, they're good, high quality cards, but yeah, you're right. Meaningful choices. Okay, so impacting others, Fuse, because
Yeah.
impacting long-term strategy, Fuse. Actually, no, Rhino Hero. The way you put those walls, you know, yeah. But arbitrary choices.
You get actually hit more in Rhino Hero if you make a mistake.
As far as arbitrary choices.
Yeah, because the arbitrary choices, and the big problem with this with Fuse, and for the arbitrary choices, because it's a choice you make in Rhino Hero, and Fuse, it's a roll of the die. So even if you have everything you need and the number doesn't come up what you need, you're still going to get penalized, and it's not your fault. It's just the way the thing rolled.
Right, but there's also that factor of like, of knowing of the dice draft basically each round.
Oh
of knowing, like who
that's
gets
fine,
that.
but
You
again,
your job is to mitigate that.
Your job is to mitigate it, but there's going to be times, and I've had it happen to me several times, where we needed something before we could finish off cards, and the die rolled a 6 instead of a 2 we needed.
Yeah,
and it's the right color die. It's just we can't use that 2 because there's nowhere to put that 2. There's nowhere to mitigate it because of the dice roll. And when it comes to Rhino Hero, yeah, there's a little bit of luck because of the cards you're drawing, but you still have a whole stack of cards that you know which one to play. And if you play the wrong card, making it easier for him to, like, say, skip and move to his next round, the arbitrary choices, mistakes in Rhino Hero are your fault. Mistakes and Fuse could not be is a possibility, but where it's not your fault.
I don't know if the choices in Rhino Hero are impactful because every card you play has a level of difficulty.
But see, you're arguing the fact that making the choice itself is bad. Yeah, it's a bit impactful, but I don't make the choice when the die rolls bad. That's your whole argument about being luck based. If the die rolls bad, that's not my choice. It's just something that happened in the die.
All right, okay, I'll give that to Fuse.
Rhino Hero.
Then no, no, but I do think that you could just play a floor card arbitrarily, and it's still going to mess over the other player.
But there's also ways to mitigate that too, depending on like the skip turns and stuff like that. Where again, if the die rolls bad and nobody can use it, you're still getting punished, and it's not your fault.
Okay. All right, I get that. All right, cool. So then we'll give that to Rhino Hero.
Game immersion. This is where it's going to break down really for us, because we got, let's see. Yeah, because it's what, 2-2 right now.
It's 1-1. We don't have replay value yet, or immersion.
Ease of play. Well, we done ease of play already. We said Rhino Hero.
Yep, meaningful choices is Rhino Hero,
which is Fuse. We just did meaningful choices, which went to, it's 2-1 for Rhino Hero right now.
Yeah.
So let's go to replay value.
Replay value. All right.
Length of time.
10 minutes. Fuse. Yeah. Honestly, replay value for Fuse is all out, because you have different expansions, different kinds of bomb tiles that you can, or different types of bomb cards, and then minimum number of plays for full experience. Well, you get the full experience of Rhino Hero playing it once.
So it's 2-2 now.
Okay.
Game immersion. Now here's where it's going to come down to
theme matching
mechanisms.
Fuse.
Again, I agree with you on that fact, except for the mechanism we're arguing is dexterity.
Yes. So
there is some dexterity in Fuse, But the theme matching Rhino Hero, you are building the building and you're moving your hero. That's dexterity through and through. It is a stacking game that matches the dexterity.
Yeah. What's the theme in Rhino Hero? You're
building a building and your hero's going through the building saving people.
So
that is legitimately what it says on the box.
Right. I don't disagree. So, but the argument though for that is like if there was a superhero Rhino that was the superhero like of a comic book, how would building a building until the point where it falls down or being able to play all your cards make sense as far as saving people? That's what I'm saying.
We're arguing mechanism.
Yes.
Again, Fuse, other than the speed, which to me is more of a speed game than an actual dexterity game.
Yeah, which speed is dexterity though. And
it's
the thing is,
not necessarily.
If I had like a time code in front of me and I'm like, I need to punch in the right code, I need to get these 3 numbers ready to punch in the code to defuse this part of the bomb. And I'll make an argument
here for a fact. You wanted to eliminate Fuse before we even put it on the list because you didn't think there was enough dexterity in it.
No, but then you convinced me otherwise, and now I agree with you.
Because what I argued is there are some cards where you have to stack your die.
Yeah.
But I can pull out the deck right now and show you every single card in the deck and show you which ones are dexterity and which ones aren't.
Right, but the thing is, the speed is the full dexterity game. That's why I agreed with it. And if you're defusing a bomb, you are on a time crunch. That's the point. Whereas if you're a superhero, you're not building a building or trying to mess over other players or make the building fall over. You're trying to defuse a bomb. You are against the time crunch, and you have to solve the puzzle.
The mechanism works more for this because it is a dexterous game.
You're saying that speed isn't dexterity, then?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm saying speed isn't. To me, speed game is its own genre. The only reason I argued for Fuse is because of the dexterity in the dice.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, Pit is a speed game.
Yes.
But it's not a dexterity game. It's a set collection game. No, it's not. Pit is not a dexterity game.
Because the...
And it's a speed game. So you're saying Pit should be on this list. Because if you're arguing speed
it's not ranked enough.
No. You're arguing speed being dexterity.
Yes.
Should Pit be on this list?
Yes.
No.
Yes, it should. Because then you also have how fast you can hit the bell. And your reaction timing. Your
argument is wrong, and you're just being facetious.
No. All right. Let's call it a wash. Theme matching mechanisms. I still disagree, but let's call it a wash. Okay. Player interaction. Yes. Fuse. Yeah. And memorable moments is also.
I don't know. This one's tough for me. The Fuse does have great memorable moments. Don't get me wrong. But so does Rhino Hero.
Yeah.
When the tower falls. So we're honestly going to give this to Fuse just because even if we call memorable moments a wash, Fuse still gets to interacting with other players.
Yeah.
So and I just want to make this argument because the memorable moments are easy. When you finally defeat the game of Fuse, like you said,
everyone has the relief. You're like, yeah.
The relief.
Whereas,
however, if that tower falls, you're sitting there laughing because your buddy made it fall.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you go from like every turn is like, okay, this is nerve wracking because we're building the tower, and then suddenly, oh, there's a big explosion and it falls down. Whereas in Fuse, you're like, oh god, every turn here, take this, and then you either died.
As much as I love Rhino Hero, and as much as I try to pull an upset, I think Fuse should go on.
Yeah.
But this is probably the closest battle we ever had. It literally came down to the very last thing, and that's interacting with other players.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we had, I think, a single one for last week's Kickstarter games where it was down to like art and production, and the graphic design was what decided it. But this, I don't think it was that late in the game.
Yeah. No, it was pretty early on.
All right.
But yeah, no, this was tough for me because as much as I like Rhino Hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the big problem with Rhino Hero is Rhino Hero Battle just basically killed off any love for Rhino Hero. Yeah,
I don't disagree, and I personally like Rhino Hero. I probably like it better than Fuse. I just feel like Fuse is a better game. I like Flatline better than both. by far.
So just so everybody knows, when we go into the finals, we have number 1 seed Crokinole versus
number 2 seed Fuse.
And just so everybody knows, before we get into it, that we do not debate it like we have been here. Like one person takes one side and the other person takes this one. When we go into the finals, it is strictly down to our thing here, as well as if somehow they end up tied, the tiebreaker.
Yep, which will be voted on by the users on the Board Game Revolution group in Facebook. So stick with us. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.